All right, let's get this thing started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight. Ready to rock this shit. Kind of enjoying this. I don't know what I chose today. I think it's some 70s rock groove kind of thing. Kind of like it. Someone said it sounded like ZZ Top playing jazz earlier. I concur. It kind of did. But today we got to talk about a lot of things that are on the... I have so many tabs open. As usual, I probably won't get to them all. But look, if I don't get to everything, just remember, you can always check out all the stories we do get to, including the ones we don't, in the second paragraph of the description and below this video. There's a one-tab link. It said everything we talked about is linked here. You click that link, and all the stories will be linked on one page. You can find them all in one place and check out anything you missed, or if you're making videos or talking to your friends or want to be informed, that's where you get the news. So, today, I'm just going to say it right now. Ho, you fact. Ha ha! Shall we begin? Let's shall. Johnny, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P-Dog Knight.
Hell to the Yizzo! I am in here in the house. What did I just say? I don't know. Stop the music. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet, and welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on Hump Day! Wednesday, the 5th of October, 2022. Yesterday was my son's birthday. Today was my dad's birthday. My dad passed away in 2009, but I celebrate his birthday every year because when you're adopted, you really appreciate your parents. Sometimes, maybe even more, especially if you know you're adopted. You're like, yeah, these people brought you into their house and did all the shit for you, and they didn't have to. And I really appreciate him. My dad. I distinguish between my father and my dad. My dad is the guy I grew up with. The dad was my dad, and my father is the man who created me. And I appreciate them both. I met my father about almost 20 years ago now. But anyway, my dad's birthday. My dad was he was a field medic in Korea. One of those, like you watch the show MASH, and they have the people. They have the MASH hospitals, right? But the field medics are the guys who are out in the Jeeps pulling people in to the field hospitals. That's what he did in Korea. He didn't talk about it a lot, but I did get some stuff. They have an honorary, they have a banner up in his hometown, Marshalltown, Iowa, where they have this year they decided to put all of the foreign war veterans, pictures of them down Main Street. And so we got to go see that banner earlier this year. And so my dad, he was a strict guy, but he was a good guy. He really cared about what was best for me and that I was turned out to be a good person. And I really appreciate him. So happy birthday to my dad. Also, let's see. What else is going on today? It's your mother's birthday. Also, same as my dad, Tyre. And may she rest in peace also. So today we're going to get into, some happenings that are some breaking things. That is in breaking things like breaking shit like they're doing in Ukraine and Russia, but breaking news. And then also some just stuff that's happening that other people will probably be talking about over the next couple days, because I like to try to get to it first. That's why I have a morning show, and that's why I usually try to catch the breaking stuff on Twitter. And I don't mean breaking stuff like Elon Musk is going to be breaking stuff on Twitter. I mean breaking news. So anyway, before I do that, let's say good morning to everybody. First in the chat today was Rotten Corpse, who gets the bell. Thank you, sir, for being here. Also, good morning, my favorite Canadian, Jaeger Pony. Tyrannus Alexandrius Invictus Soul is in the house. Emperor. Good morning, Jay Pylon. By the way, last night I went on Canon Hotep's channel with Jay Pylon and Canon Hotep. Go check that out. They do is it nightly, Jay Pylon, or is it 3 times a week? I know you do it more than once a week, but I don't know if it's every night. But I had a lot of fun on the show last night. We talked a little bit about Elon Musk. We talked about a bunch of stuff, but it was a great show, and I really appreciate y'all having me on. Also, good morning, Advocatus Diabli, the Devil's Advocate. Lauren Stanhope's in the house. Mike Savage, Blarg. Brandon Cooser. I'm going to say Cooser because the reason I say Cooser because I knew a man named Bob Cousy when I was growing up. Bob Cousy was an NBA basketball player who had spent some time in Omaha for some reason, and was friends with my dad and the dentist, Mr. Armstrong, across the street. And so we knew Bob Cousy. He used to come over to the Armstrong's house. We used to go barbecue over there and stuff. And so I'll just say Cousy. No, Bob Boozer. I'm not Cousy. I'm thinking Bob Boozer. Cousy was the white guy from Boston. Bob Boozer is who used to come over. But he was an NBA star too. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. Good morning, Simon Wolfwood. Hello, let's see, Aaron Meredith. Thank you for what Aaron Meredith, you get the breaking news story of the day because you sent me something right before the show, and I'm going to use it. Good morning, Lord Stanhope. Hello, Shady Grid. What's up? Nice to have you back. Also, good morning, Renee Mayette. TC's in the house. Septus Wolf, and let's see, Tuesday stream every Tuesday. Oh, I got you. Okay, and then eventually some of those streams are going to be on Jay's channel. Ken Hotep's in the house. Also, good morning to, I said Renee Mayette, I said Jay Pylon. Oh, Infamous One, what's up? Nice to see everybody here. So as you're rolling in, please make sure you hit the like button sometime during the show. Share the stream before, during, and after. If you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section. And you can sponsor the show at pdognight.live. Right up, yeah. You can watch the show at pdognight.live. You can chat in the regular YouTube chat on pdognight.live. But if you gotta have something said, if you need to have your voice heard, and because I'm not that good at watching the chat, but I'm good at watching dollars. If you drop a deuce or two in the tip jar, you can write a prioritized chat. No matter how little or how much you donate, you can write up to 256 characters. So I know, YouTube Super Chat's cool, but sometimes you just, you want to do that $2 chat, but you got 55 letters in the sentence, and you can't figure out how to break it down. Well, if you do that at pdognight.live, you don't have that problem. But I don't, I'm take anything, YouTube Super Chats, Streamlabs. That's pdognight.live is the Streamlabs link. And there's also Venmo Cash App if you want to sponsor the show. Let's get it going. Now, just before the show, I got this breaking news in the Post Millennial. Thank you, Aaron Meredith, by the way. This is interesting because this Eugene Yu. I don't know if you're familiar with Eugene Yu because I used to not follow him on Twitter, but I used to see him tweeting all the time. And he's one of these people, he's one, who would be, okay, let me just put it this way. He's one of these people who'd be very upset that Elon Musk is taking over Twitter because Eugene Yu, he just liked to give it to people and he's complaining about misinformation and all that shit. Well, apparently he's been arrested. CEO of U.S. election software firm Connect, I think it's pronounced, arrested for storing data on servers in China. Now, do y'all remember? Now it's not a clear, strong memory, but I know that I remember. Good morning, Neon Leon and Asia Research Directorate. I know that I remember. Somebody was talking about how election data or something like that wasn't being put on foreign servers. I'm curious. So anyway, here is the story. Eugene Yu, the CEO of software firm Connect, has been arrested in connection with the storage of data on servers in China. U-51 was arrested early Tuesday just outside of Lansing, Michigan, after prosecutors alleged he improperly stored the information on servers, according to Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon. What? George Gascon is actually prosecuting somebody? That's a trip. Who is the chief executive? He's the chief executive officer of a company called Conic, and he's expected to be extradited to Los Angeles in the coming days, Gascon said, according to LA Times. Conic allegedly violated his contract by storing critical information that I'm not really sure what this is. This is not election data. I thought maybe I was thinking something else. Allegedly violated his contract by storing critical information that the workers provided on servers in China. We intend to hold all those responsible for this breach accountable, Gascon said. Gascon is actually prosecuting somebody? Oh, wait, he doesn't prosecute low-level criminals, like people who steal shit, like under $800 and shit. But anyway, prosecutors learned of the data breach this year through a separate investigation undertaken by the district attorney's office. According to Gascon, he would not say what the other investigation was exactly when his office became aware of the breach. Conic issued a statement that read, in part, quote, we are continuing to ascertain the details of what we believe to be Mr. Yu's wrongful detention by L.A. County authorities. Any L.A. County poll worker data that Conic may have possessed was provided to it by L.A. County and therefore could not have been stolen as suggested. Now, whack a smack. That's a new name. What's up? You think you got it bad with gas prices? My government in Australia just added 25 cents tax per liter. Oh my God, we're paying $2.25 a liter, which adds up. That's about, I don't know the conversion of Australian, that roughly $6 a gallon, I'm guessing, which is a lot. We'll talk about gas prices in a minute, though. I'll get to that. That's the main story today. But this one just came up, and I'm like, so he was, okay, on Monday, it was on Monday that the New York Times ran an article claiming that election deniers had made Conic the center of a conspiracy theory. Oh, is that what it was, New York Times? The article claimed that these election deniers had used threadbare evidence to suggest that Conic had secret ties to the Chinese Communist Party and had given the Chinese government backdoor access to personal data about 2 million poll workers in the United States. Well, isn't that interesting? New York Times, could it be maybe you have some egg on your face? So, the Times claimed that these allegations against Conic demonstrated how far-right election deniers are also giving more attention to new and more secondary companies and groups. Conic, based in Michigan, had been contacted by the Los Angeles County and Allen County, Indiana, to work on election logistics, such as scheduling poll workers. Conic, the Times stated, it said none of the accusations were true. It said that all the data for its American customers were stored on servers in the United States and that it had no ties to the Chinese government. Well, I'm curious. Does George Gascon, the very lazy attorney, whatever they call him, city attorney, something of Los Angeles County, does he just prosecute anybody for nothing? Because he doesn't prosecute anybody for real shit. So there's got to be some there, especially if he's a leftist Democrat type dude, right? Oh, that's more like $9 a gallon. Yeah, I forget about, Australian, you got to think of exchange rates too. Good Lord. Anyway, the Times, it was when I was in Europe, let's see, in Austria, the conversion was about $8.25 a gallon. And in Germany, it was right around there. And in Prague, it was roughly, between $8 and $9 a gallon when you converted it. So anyway, all right. The Times lamented the damage done to Conic's reputation by these election deniers who claimed that the company had ties to the CCP. Look. The Times, but was this the Los Angeles Times? No, New York Times. Holding the data that there would violate Conic's contract with the county The Times wrote, the company itself appears to be standing by you and continues to blame election deniers for harming the company's reputation. Oh, so sad. The spokesperson for Connick told the Times that Connick had handed over all poll worker data to the county and that it therefore could not have been stolen as suggested. Well, you know what? I guess we're just going to find out. We're just going to find out. Okay? Sorry, Eugene Yu. Or am I thinking of Eugene Gu? No, Eugene Yu. That's who I was talking about. Anyway. All right. Now, let's talk about what I really am featuring today, because usually I have one story that I feature and I go in a little more in depth than that, and then we just try to touch on some headlines happening in the world. Oh, my God. Why is the Jews trending? Oh my, what the hell? Hang on a second. Is this real? Literally in the what's happening section of Twitter, it says the Jews. Okay, let's see what that is. That's weird. The Jews. Somebody must have said those words, because that's usually what happens. Probably Trump said something. Let me guess. I'm going to believe that the Jews is trending on Twitter because Yom Kippur begins tonight at sunset and everyone's just wishing us well. If you have evidence to the contrary, please do not disabuse me of that notion. Yeah, what? Okay. I'm sorry, this distracted me and I'm going to be distracted. Literally, the Jews is trending. Type in the Jew. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Oh, no. I'm not going to do that on my phone. Type the Jews are and then let your phone fill the rest. No, I'm not doing that. You can immediately tell someone's racist if they mention groups of people like the blacks or the Jews, because they don't even have the courtesy to refer to them as people as if they are another species. And that's not why it's trending. Why is it trending? The Jews have defeated James Corden. Okay. That's from a 23. Okay. I'm going to just say it's probably because Yom Kippur. Let's just stay. I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna go through this hashtag later because I don't want to know, and I also hate scrolling through hashtags that I haven't looked at yet because it's Hump Day. And oh, by the way, if you're on Twitter, never, and I mean never, click on Hump Day when it's trending or anything about Hump Day when it's trending. I promise. You really do not want to do it. Let me just say, this is your warning. This is the warning from me, Marty, aka P-Dog Knight. Don't do it. I'm just saying. Shall we continue? Okay, where was I? We're going to talk about OPEC because in my description of the show today, I wrote these words. Full disclosure. I am fully aware that rising gas prices in the United States are not directly caused by the president. However, President Biden and the White House has spent weeks taking credit for falling gas prices over the summer, which is something that gas prices do every summer. They kind of peak early in the summer and they randomly drop down towards the end of the summer. And then later in the fall, when they start doing winter blends, they drop down a little more, right? That's a trend every single year. It's never been different. However, over the last year and a half since President Biden's been in office, we've seen a big spike in gas prices. First, when Biden came to office and he started messing around with things you can and cannot do with pipelines and types drilling and this and that. The other, and gas prices went up significantly at that time. And then when the war started in Ukraine, yes, they went up a little bit more, but the majority of that hike was before the war in Ukraine. But they don't want to hear that shit. So the gas prices got up to record highs, right? Earlier this year, record highs. And then, so Biden had nothing to do with gas prices. Everyone's like, well, Joe Biden doesn't have anything to do with gas prices. And I'm like, well, he kind of does. There's, policies and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But, not directly necessarily, but yeah, he does. If he does some shit that makes some gas and oil harder to get from ourselves, when we were energy independent, we had lower gas prices, and then now we're kind of dependent on everybody else again, and we're using the strategic oil reserve, blah, blah, blah. Gas prices came down, but then, like I said, gas prices came down a little bit. Joe Biden's been like, oh, yeah, see, Joe Biden did a great job getting gas prices come down. All the political pundits, oh, Joe Biden did a great job getting the gas prices go down. Well, gas prices are going up again, significantly. In fact, I think they're near record highs again, right? But so I said this. I said, how President Biden and the White House have spent weeks taking credit for falling gas prices over the summer, and so I'm going to give credit where credit. I'm going to give credit where credit is due because they're going up again, so you get the credit there. So, terrible policies, and look, terrible policies from and lack of respect for the current president of the White House is probably why you have the issues with gas prices that we have. So guess what? When I say lack of respect for, trending today is OPEC. OPEC is trending today because OPEC has just announced that the members of OPEC have agreed to lower oil production, to cut oil production by 2 million barrels a day. And the White House is not happy. Now, just a couple days ago, this was early yesterday. This article came out on This is CNN. White House launches last-ditch effort to dissuade OPEC from cutting oil production to avoid a total disaster. Yes, OPEC did tell us in July they're cutting production. In fact, but you know what they predicted in July? They said it was going to be like maybe a couple 100,000 barrels a day, maybe 1 million barrels a day. They went to 2 million barrels a day. Let's read this article. The Biden administration has launched a full-scale pressure campaign and a last-ditch effort to dissuade Middle Eastern allies from dramatically cutting oil production, according to multiple sources familiar with the matter. Their favorite source are sources familiar with the matter. The push comes ahead of Wednesday's crucial meeting of OPEC and the International Cartel of Oil Producers that is widely expected to announce a significant cut to output in an effort to raise oil prices that in turn would cause U.S. gasoline prices to rise at a precarious time for the Biden administration just 5 weeks before the midterms elections. Sorry, Joe Biden.
Your life makes me sad.
For the past several days, Joe Biden's senior most energy, economic, and foreign policy officials have been enlisted to lobby their foreign counterparts in the Middle Eastern allied countries, including Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, to vote against cutting oil production. Now, what did I say about that? I said lack of respect for Joe Biden. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Some of the draft talking points circulated by the White House to the Treasury Department on Monday that were obtained by CNN framed the prospect of a production cut as a total disaster. Yeah, because it hurts you in the elections, and warned that it could be taken as a hostile act. So anyway, the White House is begging them to not do it. But unfortunately, as we can see, what the hell is that? There's some big old woman there. That's a big bitch. Anyway, sorry. Just in a goofy mood today. Oil rallies as OPEC agrees to a historic 2 million barrels a day production cut, shuns Biden. As it was well telegraphed, and despite the White House's saber rattling, OPEC and JMMC, I'm not sure what that stands for, but it's something with the oil guys, has recommended the cartel go ahead with a historic 2 million barrels a day production cut. One delegate has confirmed that this cut was from baseline levels. This means the production cut is less than 2 million barrels a day directly, since current actual production levels are already below quota. However, it is still a sizable cut. As Argus Media reports, the extent to which any cut to November quotas will reduce actual supply will depend on how OPEC Plus members fare in the meeting in meeting their targets this month and how the cut is distributed. So that's not good for American oil prices. I had to chuckle at this picture. Food for thought: OPEC can cut more longer than the Biden administration can release from this strategic reserve. This OPEC meeting is a wake-up call for U.S. politicians that energy inflation is going to be sticky. Yes, Biden looking out there. Oh, my God. Avocados Diabli. I almost put you in a timeout for that. I do not read what Avocados Diabli wrote. Nope, I am not asking for any type of Streisand effect. I'm just going to get... There, you get one of those. Holy shit. So anyway, do I have one more related to this? Yes, fearing shortages, top oil groups warn Biden against an export ban. White House is considering a move that would put upward pressure on consumer fuel prices. Fucking fantastic. Yes, way to go. The largest U.S. oil trade group said on Tuesday that they have significant concerns that the Biden administration is considering limiting fuel exports to lower consumer prices and urged top officials to take the option off the table, according to a letter seen by Reuters. A joint letter from the American Petroleum Institute and the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers to Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm represents the latest volley in a clash between the oil industry and the Biden administration over high energy prices. Oh, that's a fine individual. U.S. What is all this? Anyway, U.S. President Joe Biden has made battling an energy-led surge in consumer price a top priority and has repeatedly shied at oil companies from earning bumper profits at a time of record gasoline prices. He's repeated those accusations in recent weeks as gasoline prices began to tick back up, leading into the November midterm elections after a week of declines. The idea of limiting U.S. fuel exports to keep domestic energy prices in check was largely dismissed as unlikely by the oil industry when it first came up months ago, but the letter on Tuesday shows the industry is becoming increasingly concerned the administration could move ahead with it. Jennifer Granholm, anyone from Michigan here? Jennifer Granholm, she is such a fantastic administrator of whatever it is that she does. I mean, she's might have been the greatest governor in the history of Michigan, and she's a great energy secretary because she thinks that, everyone should just buy electric cars and that would solve everything. So I just thought I'd let you know that. Anyway, on Friday, Granholm and top White House officials repeated the warning that a hastily called virtual meeting about energy prices. White House officials have said restrictions on energy exports are not being considered at this time, but that they have not been ruled out entirely. So they're look, what happens, first of all, our strategic petroleum reserve is at near record lows. Now, it certainly could have come in handy after Hurricane Ian pushed its way through Florida, because that's, I think I don't know if it affected a refinery down there. I think it skipped where the refineries are. But anyway, it's just one of those things. And now that you're going to do an export ban, because, world markets affect the price we pay for oil. And it's just, well, let's put it this way. As soon as this comes up, it's causing the Biden administration to do some damage control because, like I said, they've spent all these weeks talking about how wonderful they've been. Here, let me refresh this. How wonderful they've been getting oil prices to come down. They've been taking credit for it, right? Well, now they're doing damage control as rising gas prices threaten Democrats' midterm hopes. The Biden administration is working to blame oil producers and threaten them with new regulations as the recent rise in gas prices is threatening Democrats' odds in the midterm elections. The best way to lower prices in any industry is to come up with some new regulations. That always works. President Joe Biden and his appointees are holding a meeting with oil officials, calling on oil companies to bring down gas prices at the pump and accusing them of price gouging the American people to fill their coffers, according to the Washington Post. The Washington Compost. Anyway, the Democrats' November midterm prospects were improving due to the White House efforts to bring down gas prices. However, after falling for 98 days straight, the national average price of gas has risen for the second straight week, threatening to derail the Democrats' bid to keep control of Congress. And that is the main reason you want to keep gas prices low before the midterm elections, because, you know, keeping the worrying about the midterm elections, right? What is this? Oh, you know what I figured? I just figured it out. Why I keep getting pictures like this in my feed of like Eastern European hoes. You know, it's like because I was just over there. I was just in Prague and all that. And my phone, you know what's funny? Okay, let me tell you a story here real quick. I know we're talking about gas prices. We'll get back to it. Let me tell you a story real quick. This is kind of wild. So we paid some extra money so I could use my phone while we are over in Hungary, Austria, Germany, and Czech Republic, right? So you know how when you're looking on your internet and they kind of somehow figures out what you're doing and what you've looked up and shit, the cookies and all that shit, and then you get ads that are kind of tailored to that kind of stuff. Well, when I was over there, I kept getting like not pop-up ads, but you know how the ads in your browser are basically either like I'm getting Angie Craig here because I'm living this in Angie Craig's district, for her congressional run. But when I was over there, I kept getting like ads in German and or things for German and Austrian products and Czech products. I was like, what? So apparently, for some reason, I don't know why I'm getting these ads. Anyway, this is weird. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. So we already talked about, here it is. So President Joe Biden's energy secretary, Jennifer Granholm, let's talk about her again, told the oil and gas companies like ExxonMobil on September 30th to step up and help lower gas prices so you can help our administration do better politically. According to the Energy Department statement, Granholm claimed that oil companies were raising prices and not producing enough fuel products to meet the needs of consumers. No, I've been able to get gas. Have any of you had problems getting gas? It's really expensive, but you know what I mean? Anyway, as the president said, these companies need to focus less on taking every last dollar off the table and more on passing through savings to their customers. Granholm said they need to step up and show results for American consumers and the American economy. Really? Now there's a picture from Mill Valley, California. Regular $6.89 a gallon. Now that's got to be the highest in the nation right now. I saw one place that had some form of premium at $8 something a gallon. I was like, damn. But like we said, our European friends in the chat, they're already paying this. They're paying $8 a gallon, maybe $9 a gallon. Australia, roughly close to $9 a gallon, if you're counting liters. But that's because I don't know if we've changed our production. I know we were at one point we were exporting energy, and that was helping lower energy prices around the world. Because if we're exporting energy, because usually we're the ones importing energy because we use probably more than anybody else, 330 million people and 100 million cars on the road, right? Or there's probably more than that, but they're not all being used at the same time. But anyway, so when we're exporting energy, the energy price is probably going to be lower because that means if we're not importing, it means we got surplus, and we're the biggest user of energy. But if we're not exporting energy, right, that means we're using all our own, and that means you're limiting the world supply also, which causes those prices to go up again. So it's kind of a bad idea that we're not going to export what we have been exporting, but because that raises world markets, and then all the shit that we have to buy from everybody else is going to be higher price. It's just a weird catch-22. We were better when we were exporting energy under another president, you know, the one with the funny hair. Just saying. So anyway, in California, they're really starting to gnash their teeth, so to speak. 96-cent hike in 2 weeks. Gas prices up 96 cents in 2 weeks. California gas prices shrouded in secrecy amid historic cost spike. And then the analyst, oil company trade secrets treated like nuclear codes, analyst says. Well, let's not forget. Oh, you know, we talked about this a couple days ago because Gavin Newsom's going to allow them to start winter blend like a month early just to give Californians a little bit of reprieve. Anyway, this is from SiliconValley.com. As Californians look down the barrel of gasoline prices... That's an interesting analogy, isn't it? By the way, good morning, Damien Gershwin. How you doing? I see you. Looking down the barrel of gas prices, just cents away from hitting another all-time record, Governor Gavin Newsom is quick to blame the oil industry for ripping you off. Blame it on the gas companies, not the fact that you have the highest gas tax in the country. But even as Sacramento considers levying a punitive tax on oil companies, who pays for the tax on oil companies? The consumers do, you morons! Experts say state regulators have woefully little insight into an industry that zealously guards information on pricing and operations as confidential trade secrets. Gas prices in California reached $6.41 a gallon on Tuesday, a dizzying 96-cent increase over the past 2 weeks, according to AAA. But the California Energy Commission, the state's main energy policy body, can't fully explain what's behind the punishing hike. I wouldn't even call it flying blind, Severin Borenstein, the energy economist at UC Berkeley, said of the commission. Everybody scrambles to say, well, we should do something about this. And then the price goes back down, and then everybody go back to ignoring it. Newsom's called for a windfall profit tax on oil companies last week comes amid a new wrinkle in the Golden State driver's longstanding misery at the pump. While fuel prices in California are historically higher than the nation, in large part due to the state's taxes and environmental guidelines, the price difference between California and the rest of the country has exploded to $2.60 a gallon. That is the highest price gap ever. Oh, so solve it by taxing the gas companies more. Who pays for gas taxes? To take one comparison, Florida, which was racked by Hurricane Ian last week, has an average gas prices that were $3.23 cheaper per gallon than California, according to AAA. It's a problem that may only get worse as the state transitions away from fossil fuels, so gas becomes more scarce. When something's more scarce, what happens to the price of it? Class? That leaves drivers who lack electric vehicles reliant on a dwindling industry that is increasingly concentrated among a handful of companies and prone to price swings. The most recent price spike only underscores the state's shaky grasp on the oil to gasoline supply chain as Newsom looks to phase out most gas-powered cars by 2035. I thought it was 2030. I thought they wrote it in the law by 2030 they could no longer sell gas-powered cars. That's a problem because they are never going to have they are never, ever, ever going to have enough lithium and all the other freaking minerals you need to make all them damn batteries. They're not going to be able to replace gas-powered cars. They're the most efficient, probably the least global impact of the type of vehicles. You're going to have some strip mines all over the world. What are you going to do? Strip mine entire country of Canada? Sorry, Canadians, we're not going to do that. I don't want to scare you. Anyway, because I don't even know if there's any lithium in Canada anyway. They'll probably discover it somewhere. But you're going to have... okay, let me tell you about mining a little bit because I know a little bit, very little bit about mining. But I live in Minnesota, which is a big-time mining state. And when we went to go visit my wife's father's hometown, Hibbing, Minnesota. They have a mine up there. It's the largest open something mine in the world where you can go up there and they have a lookout. It looks like they dug out the entire Grand Canyon just north of Hibbing, Minnesota. Now, imagine a mine that's an open mine, like, I don't know if it's called strip mining or what, big open mine, right? Imagine having those giant Grand Canyons all over the world because they're trying to find lithium, enough lithium to replace all the cars in the world. It's a stupid idea. And plus, electric grid, California, rolling blackouts. I wouldn't own a electric car in California to save my life right now. Because I can't keep the power going, but you know what? I can go find gas somewhere. Anyway. All right, the point is, Californians are pissed off. I'm going to leave it at that, okay? All right, let's move on, because I'm talked enough about OPEC, and it's, I'm running out. I got to go lightning round already, because I got that many tabs open. Let's talk about what else has happened in the news. Anybody? Let's start with this. Also trending today. Oh, I mentioned, ho, you fat. That's just somebody's name. Hello, Renee. Did I say hi to Renee Mayette? I think I did earlier, but I'm going to say hi again because, you're one of my favorites. All right. Ho, you fat. I'm not talking about Renee Mayette, though. That's somebody's name. Did you see this? Everyone in the world is being introduced to Ho, you fat. Apparently he's a basketball player. Steve Ho, you fat. That's his name. He's a basketball player. Let's see what this is. I want to see what this picture says. Okay, my computer's telling me to fuck off. Steve Ho, you fat, French professional basketball player. Steve Ho, you fat is a French professional basketball player who plays for Metropolitan 92 in LNB Pro A. Born in June 12th, 1988. He's 34 years old. That's pretty old for a professional basketball player. Born in Cayenne, French Guiana, 6'8". But that's his name, Steve Ho, you fat. So when you look at the back of his jersey, it says Ho, you fat. What I thought that was? You know how all the sports leagues in the United States were putting slogans on their backs to for diversity and safety and Black Lives Matters and police violence and shit. I thought that was one of those things. I just saw the jersey. I'm like, oh, they must be making a statement. So anyway, everyone knows who Ho, you fat is now. He's a basketball player in the French Professional Basketball League. Ho, you fat. It's fantastic. Elon Musk is trending. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Twitter, the Twitter purchase is. Oh, did we talk about it yesterday? This happened after the show. Anyway, Elon Musk is back to buying Twitter. Purchased $44 billion. If you want to hear me talk about that and get a shot at seeing Canon Hotep and Jay Pylon, go check out Canon Hotep show. Canon Hotep. Canon like a cannon and Hotep like Hotep. On his channel last night. We talked about it last night. But anyway, Elon Musk sent a letter to Twitter Inc. on Monday seeking to revive his bid for the company at the original offer price of $54.20 a share. $4.20. I know what you did there. Provided that the Delaware Chancery Court enter an immediate stay of Twitter's lawsuit against him and adjourn the trial scheduled to begin in 2 weeks, according to a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Twitter, in a statement on Tuesday, said that the company intends to close the transaction at the offer price. So all is well in Twitterland, except, oh my God, the freaks on the left and Twitter bullies, the cry bullies like Taylor Lorenz and Ben, what is his name? Ben, what the fuck's that dude's name? From NBC, whatever his name is. They are having a conniption up over this. What the hell's going on here? I'm trying to get okay, my computer's telling me to fuck off. Ben Collins. They are losing their minds. Just, Twitter's just going to be terrible now, and I can't try to get people deplatformed anymore because they're just going to let anybody do anything on here. And so many people saying, "Oh, we're going to leave Twitter. We're going to leave Twitter." Yeah, but just like you went to Canada, bitch. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm a little animated about this. What is going on with my damn computer? We did Ho You Fat. This is the Twitter thing. What the heck's going on here? Anyway, I'm going to close this tab real quick because I don't want this is messing me up. So anyway, lots of people are mad about it. Lots of people mad. Ho you mad. Not just ho you fat. Ho you mad. I mean, they weren't mad when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Were they? I don't know. Were they? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. I don't care. You can, like I said, we talked about it on Canada Hotep's channel last night. Let's just go through a litany of one-liners and articles and shit. So apparently, the census has been making errors over the year, and it's very interesting. Ben Collins is the biggest blue anon on Twitter. Yeah, he's a meathead. Yay we Lou. Yay we Lou. Ho you Wong. Long Dong Chan. Something wrong. Ho I'm fat. Are we doing maybe ho? We're doing all sorts of possibilities for names. Wan Dum Fook. Kind of like in was it in Austin Powers? They had Fook You and Fook Me, the twin sisters. Anyway, not content with the U.S. Supreme Court's perverse ruling blocking the Trump administration's from reinstating a plainly constitutional citizen question on the 2020 census and the Census Bureau's apparent insubordination under Donald Trump, the House Democrats recently passed legislation making it still more difficult for a future administration to reinstate the citizenship question and further insulating the agency from accountability to any president. While ensuring a fair and accurate Census Act will do nothing of the sort, it does represent an inadvertent admission of failure in the last census, one of mammoth proportions, and with massive political implications that you likely have not heard about. The fact that such failures has garnered minimal coverage and therefore public attention while manifesting itself in the corruption of our Republican system, not small r Republican, demonstrates that the disingenuousness of our ruling regime's otherwise historical democracy defenders. A failure lies in the census count itself, which according to the Census Bureau's own research was grossly inaccurate and therefore grossly unfair to the American people. While the Bureau, in conducting its post-enumeration survey, only found a relatively small net undercount of the total U.S. population of 0.24%, or approximately 780,000 people, which is more than the entire state of Wyoming. It also found major overcount and undercount errors when it came to the 50 states. And strikingly, it appears one party seems to have overwhelmingly benefited from the errors. Now, who can guess which party? Hello, John Arnott. How you doing, brother? Who can guess which party benefits from census undercounts and overcount? Oh, it's a shocker. As the Heritage Foundation's Hans van Spakovsky, a former election commissioner, has highlighted, per its 2020 census survey, the Census Bureau significantly undercounted the populations of, in descending order by percentages, Arkansas, red state, Tennessee, red state, Mississippi, red state, Florida, red state, Illinois, blue state, and Texas, red state. Some of the states with errant population counts to the downside, all but one, Illinois, were red states. Conversely, 8 states were undercounted, all of which, one, Utah, were blue. Wait, overcounted, excuse me. All 8 states were overcounted, all but one was blue. How many states? All the states that were undercounted, but one were red. Shocker. So anyway, then it goes through a bunch of other errors. The blue era, the archaic era, the red tie era, the skinny tie era, excuse me. Anyway, now, the Bureau uncovered these errors by surveying a representative sample households across the country with the same census questions which they had responded to in 2020 and comparing the two sets of answers. These errors flow through our political system in hugely significant ways. For starters, congressional seats and apportionment is based on census count. That apportionment, of course, impacts the Electoral College and therefore presidential races. So, funny how all the states that were overcounted just helps out the states that tend to vote blue or Democrat. And all the states that were undercounted just happen to vote for Republicans more. So, you know what that does? It fucks things up. Anyway, is anyone shocked by this? I got to tell you. What's this? Government organization screws up its only job. Imagine my shock. Isn't that true? I got to tell you. All right, moving on. Let's see. Oh, remember that pew pew incident in Las Vegas that you really rarely hear anything about? Well, 5 years after the Las Vegas concert shooting, an FBI whistleblower reveals probable motive. Oh my gosh, there might be a motive? Because after 5 years, well, you know what the motive wasn't, right? You absolutely know what the motive wasn't, because we'd be hearing about it every day, daily for the last 5 years. So it wasn't, I don't think it had anything to do with white supremacy. I'm just saying, maybe not, because, it's been 5 years since Stephen Paddock stashed an arsenal of weapons in his Las Vegas hotel room and began spraying outdoor concertgoers with more than 1,000 rounds of rifle fire. Now, the other thing about this, 1,000 rounds of rifle fire. It killed 58 people and wounded 869. But they didn't find 1,000 spent casings in his hotel room. Isn't that weird? They didn't even find 300 casings. They didn't even find 200 casings. There's something weird about this whole thing, and I'm not going conspiracy because I don't know the details, but I know that was one of the facts that came out that seemed weird. Since October 1st, 2017 massacre, there's been neither an official nor satisfactory explanation for why Paddock took his assorted rifles and shot those country music fans, but now an FBI whistleblower believes he has the motive. By the way, the idea that, so someone was talking about how those hotels in Las Vegas, the glass that he had to bust out to do this thing, they say that they're hurricane proof. Now, someone was mocking that idea. Well, why do they need hurricane proof glass in Las Vegas? Because they don't have hurricanes. You know what else they're proof? They're not just hurricane proof. They're generally suicide proof. People who lose everything can't just bust out a window and jump. They're very hard to break windows. Anyway, Las Vegas police issued a 138-page report on the shooting, yet kicked over to the FBI and their experts the job of coming up with a motive. Well, why? In 2019, the FBI issued a short report claiming the accountant, real estate investor, and high-stakes gambler and former McDonnell Douglas and Lockheed employee acted alone and had no political or religious agenda. Wow. None at all. So we know that he wasn't from the right. Right? Anybody? The nation's formerly premier law enforcement agency could not determine a motive. That's a little editorial thing. Formerly premier law enforcement agency. That seems odd given the J6 political prosecutions in which the FBI agents attribute all kinds of malevolence to white nationalists and assume that anyone around the Capitol building that day, regardless of color and ethnicity, was determined to overthrow the government with pepper spray and MAGA hats. Well, they had flagpoles, too. And it seems especially odd considering the FBI fancies its role as more of an intelligence agency than law enforcement these days, according to the FBI whistleblower. Now, we've learned all too well that the Trump-Russian collusion farce, in the Trump-Russian collusion farce, that the seventh floor at FBI HQ is more willing to lie, conspire, and frame with near impunity. So why not against this white guy, Stephen Paddock? Why no theories for why he was the avatar of evil? Why not judge The Intercept in its fervent fever dreams about him fitting the profile of a far-right political extremist bent on sowing violence in society? No one is suggesting the FBI framed Paddock. Obviously, that it's just that the FBI suits who spied on Trump because their political cronies wanted him taken out as a political rival don't seem shy about ascribing real or fake motives to targets. Just ask Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, John Eastman, and of course, Donald Trump himself. But Paddock was a meticulous evildoer. A year before the attack, he purchased several new cell phones. According to the Las Vegas Police Department report, at least one was a burner phone. Most of the calls to all 5 of his phones were incoming calls. Longtime gun enthusiast, Paddock stepped up his acquisition of legally purchased long guns a year before the attack. He often immersed himself in his new hobbies, such as scuba diving and flying his own plane. According to the report, Paddock would soon grow bored with his new hobbies and sell off the equipment. The independently wealthy man appears to have staked out several different places to commit a mass shooting. He looked at La Jolla, California beaches, the Lollapalooza Festival at Chicago's Grant Park, and even positioned some of his guns in a Vegas condo with a view of the Life is Beautiful outdoor music festival. Indeed, Paddock had overlapping reservations at the condo building and the Mandalay Bay Resort, while he apparently figured out which concert to attack. Before he settled on the Route 91 Harvest Festival, he arranged airfare and travel expenses for his girlfriend to visit her family in the Philippines. Her planned return was set for the day after the massacre. He wired her with $150,000 while she was there. Police say he looked up how Las Vegas Police Department SWAT teams will respond to a mass shooting so he could game out how to respond. Though he had previously allowed hotel cleaning staff in his room on September 30th after receiving room service meals, Paddock put the Do Not Disturb sign on the doors to the 2 suites he occupied. He brought in more guns. He used the room service cards to stage cameras outside in the hall and inside by the doors so he could monitor where the good guys were located. Another camera was on a people. One guy did all this. This is amazing. Authorities report while he lost some money in October, Paddock was financially well off and independent, so the failures of fortune wasn't the motive. He thought religious people, even his Catholic girlfriend, were stupid, according to his brother, who also said Paddock was politically non-committal. This was a repeated theme among his friends and family and argued against a religious reason behind the attack. Paddock's brother said the former IRS employee would do their taxes and cheat on their behalf, though investigators were able to determine items Paddock had searched for online. He removed the hard drives from his computer so authorities couldn't find out what he'd been up to. This guy was thorough. He was thorough as fuck. The FBI dismissed reports that ISIS had orchestrated the shooting or other theories reported during and in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. So what was wrong with him? Paddock's financial investments were easily discoverable, but his inner thoughts were not. The authorities say he kept his ideas to himself, and his girlfriend said that in the year leading up to the mass killing, their love life had disintegrated, and theirs became more like an employer-employee relationship. Interesting. Sure, Paddock was objectively out of his mind, but no one thought he was so when he was alive. They just thought he was a self-centered, eccentric jerk who always thought he was the smartest person in the room. Wait a minute. Toxicology reports show that Paddock had elevated arsenic, lead, and mercury levels in his system, but could not associate the amounts with a psychopathy or violent behavior. His family members believed he was a narcissist. He had an inhaler and diazepam in his room, but there wasn't much made of that. He had heart issues, high blood pressure, and things a 64-year-old men suffer from. His teeth were rotting in his head because he refused to go to a dentist due to allergies. When he put his Smith & Wesson revolver in his mouth and shot up, he did maximum damage to his brain. There was no exit wound. The 38 caliber round was found in his head. So why did he do these unspeakable crimes against humanity? Nearly 6 months before the Las Vegas mass shooting, Omar Mateen took his arsenal to Orlando's Pulse nightclub and committed the worst mass shooting in U.S. history until Las Vegas. Theories abound about the motive for the shooting at the time. It was seen as a hate crime against gays enjoying themselves at one of their favorite spots. Some rationalized that Mateen was self-hating homosexual drenched in Islamic guilt. But Mateen himself told the world he committed the act on behalf of ISIS in retaliation for an ISIS leader's death. He'd been on the FBI radar for his radicalization. At this point, ISIS was ascendant and in the news for its despicable, inhumane acts, which the group often filmed. So what happened in Las Vegas? Former FBI Special Agent John Guandolo told Turning Point USA in a recorded interview below that there is a 90% certainty that the Las Vegas attack was a jihadi operation and Stephen Paddock was a conduit through which the terrorist organization attacked America. Now, I'm in this category of X to doubt, but who knows? In the interview, Guandolo said, when you look at what actually transpired and put it together from a counter-espionage attack and counter-espionage look, the probability that was an ISIS attack is well over 90%. He said the special agent in charge of Las Vegas FBI field office got angry and dismissed it when presented with the information. FBI headquarters in Washington dismissed it out of hand. Guandolo said he's been asked to brief a couple people, members of Congress and others. He said the FBI, both in Washington, LA, and Las Vegas, that participated in that investigation can't even begin to think of it as a jihadi attack because, number one, they still don't understand what that actually means. He continued, they don't understand what actually happens, and they have no desire to understand what happens. So the knee-jerk reaction in these cases is to always dismiss that and point in a different direction because they've been conditioned to. He concludes, it only points to an ISIS attack. It does not point anywhere else. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack 5 times. They said, that guy, he's our guy. We hail him. He's a martyr. How could it be? Anyway, if you want to watch the interview, they do a full interview on Rumble here. You can click that link in the article, but I'm confused, I got to tell you. When in doubt, blame ISIS. Yeah, I'm really confused by that one. All right, let's just move on because I got to get through the lightning round here. FBI. Oh, the guy. Remember the guy? The FBI raided his house with 25 armed FBI agents, and because he apparently had a scuffle with some guy outside of an abortion clinic where they were protesting, and the guy came up and got in his face, whatever, and he pushed the guy, and then later the FBI shows up in this house with 25 armed agents to arrest him because the Justice Department is going to because the Justice Department is going to charge him with this obscure causing disruption around an abortion clinic. Well, new documents call into question 2 key components of the FBI's charges against Mark Hoke, a pro-life father of 7 who was arrested by federal agents September 23rd for allegedly shoving a Planned Parenthood clinic escort. The FBI charged Hoke with 2 counts of assaulting a reproductive health care clinic escort in violation of the FACE Act, which makes it a federal crime to interfere with someone because that person is a provider of reproductive health care. Now, it's funny because the escort is not a provider of reproductive health care. But anyway, Hoke's arrest by numerous federal agents made national headlines, but newly unearthed documents undermine some of the FBI's charges against him. Hoke was praying near an abortion clinic when Bruce Love, who claims to be a longtime clinic escort, approached him and began behaving extremely aggressively and harassing Hoke's then 12-year-old son, his attorney Peter Breen told the Daily Caller. Love was not escorting any patients at the time of the altercation, according to Breen. Let's see, that's just the tweet there. Love only mentioned being shoved once in a prior criminal complaint about the incident, according to a copy of his private criminal complaint, first obtained by the Federalist, but Hoke's federal indictment is for 2 instances of assault. The fact that Love only later mentioned a second shoving undermines the federal government's decision to charge Hoke with 2 counts of assault, according to Breen. Apparently, Mr. Love is now claiming that a second instance where he says he was knocked to the ground, Breen said. That is false. We look forward to some sort of evidence of that alleged other incidents because if a crime had actually taken place, we assume that Mr. Love would have put it in his private criminal complaint he brought to the Pennsylvania state courts. It's interesting, too. Also, the indictment makes no mention of patients being present, and their apparent absence undermines federal government's use of the FACE Act to prosecute hoax. So there's two things. They didn't have a second incident that was claimed immediately, and there were no patients at the clinic at the time. So that kind of takes it away from the FACE Act. Let's do this first sponsor of the day. Thank you. Oh, good Lord. Thank you to the FBI. I got a feeling that this agent might be related to John Migda, who says they dropped a small bullet in the tip jar, 223. Says, why are you? Wait, what? Why are you? I meant that I was probably supposed to say, where are you? We have special agents on the way. Well, thank you to the FBI for your special agents on the way. And you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Hey, FBI.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
All right, so there you go. So there's a group at the University of Chicago that apparently, well, here, did you see the news out of Chicago? A group that at the prestigious University of Chicago decided to have a discussion on race because we obviously need more discussions on race, right? But they cut one race out of the discussion. Guess which one? If you guessed white people, you guessed correctly. A group is called U Chicago United, but if you're white, you can't attend the upcoming meeting and they don't want to unite with you anyway. So the group openly announced that the only BIPOCs may attend, or BIPOCs, Black and Indigenous people of color, for those who don't know, common, what do they call it? Common acronyms, may attend. That acronym isn't some new form of cryptocurrency. Rather, it's open racism. It means Black, Indigenous, and people of color. If I had just read the rest of the sentence, I wouldn't have had to figure out what the word acronym was. But it also come to embrace the full LGBT plus spectrum, well, unless you're a gay white man. So not even gay white men can go? Come on now. If that's you, you're not uniting with them. How are you supposed to have a frank and open discussion about race while kicking one race out of the room? Oh, good Lord. Anyway, I think, is there they want white people gone, not just of their meetings, gone and done away with. If that sounds genocidal, they don't seem to have a problem with that either. Once you've decided to dehumanize the entire race, the BIPOC ideology too often does. You know what? I don't want white people to go away. I don't live to think about white people. They're there, and I'm here, and you're here, and we're all just living our lives. What the fuck? Then they go into talking about a few years ago, someone came up with a harebrained idea to threaten America with a day without a Mexican. Oh, good God. These people lose their mind. If you want to read this, you can. It's at the University of Chicago. Democrat Cori Bush, remember they said they're not talking about not funding the police, or they're defunding the police? Well, apparently, Cori Bush, Democrat from St. Louis, they didn't need to use that picture of her. That makes her look scary. I hate this, okay? Because I was looking at something today, this morning, and they were talking about some picture of Ron DeSantis and Joe Biden, right? It was a picture from last year, but they're talking about how, now Ron DeSantis is sucking up to Biden to get hurricane relief, which, no, that's just what the fucking federal government does. They do natural disaster relief, and that's just natural. But the picture showed this Biden looking all in command, and they caught the picture just at a time when DeSantis was turning his head, and it must have blinked because his eyes were half closed. And, it made DeSantis look stupid and Biden looking all, on top of shit when just the opposite is true. And I said to myself, I hate it when they do that bullshit. Just pick out a picture that the person in the picture would be okay with. And so same with this. Daily Wire, this picture of Cori Bush is not a picture that Cori Bush would be okay with. Stop doing this gotcha with using the worst picture you can find of somebody. That's stupid. But Cori Bush is also stupid. Cori Bush doubled down during an interview Tuesday morning on her support for the leftist position of defunding the police. Oh, I thought Democrats didn't want to defund the police. The remarks come as violent crime has exploded across the U.S. under the Biden administration, with some estimates indicating that reports of rape, sexual assault, robbery, assault, and murder were up 5% to 40% in major cities. Well, I'm sure it's up in St. Louis. Bush made the remarks during an interview with ABC's News Good Morning America when host George Stephanopoulos noted that Bush was one of the Democrats who had stuck by the position despite being unpopular with Americans. I know it's Stephanopoulos. I was thinking Snuffleupagus, but I couldn't think how I could put those two words together. But anyway, so there are still Democrats who are proud of their defund the police stance. And if you want to read more about it, it's in the Daily Caller. I'll have the links in the description at the end of the show. Let's see. Also, the Daily Caller. Trump is asking the Supreme Court for some relief on this Mar-a-Lago raid. Apparently, I think he's going to the 11th Circuit first, but he wants them to rule on some of these things that are happening. And I'm sorry, my computer's fucking up. I need to do something here. I need to fix this refresh rate. You wait for it to come responsive to, or exit the page. Let's just wait, and it should pop up any second now. To be fair, Cori Bush is as cute as the inside of a crab. I'm having to think about that a little bit. Here, I'll just put my lumpy face on here. What the hell? I can't even get this to work. Here, let's do this. Oh, now it pops up just as I switch over to me. And I'm running out of time. Trump turns to Supreme Court on Mar-a-Lago raid. Former President Donald Trump's lawyers requested the Supreme Court to overturn the lower court's ruling regarding the Mar-a-Lago raid, saying that Tuesday that not allowing the special master to review all the seized documents erodes public confidence in our system of justice. On September 21st, the 11th Circuit allowed the Department of Justice to keep looking at classified documents the FBI seized from Trump's Florida residence in August, after the DOJ appealed their case. Judge Eileen Cannon had previously put a pause on the DOJ's review while neutral special master was being appointed to review all documents. But after this appeals court's ruling, the third-party watchdog can only review materials not bearing classified markings. The DOJ now has access to roughly 100 documents bearing classification markings, which Trump's lawyers have claimed were declassified by the former president. The Trump's request of the Supreme Court was specifically addressed to Justice Clarence Thomas and asked for the special master to have access to classified materials again, claiming that the 11th Circuit lacked jurisdiction to stay Canada's order. This has got people, the Democrat side and left or whatever, in a little bit of a tizzy because they already are not big fans of Justice Thomas. You know how that goes, and they claim that Ginny Thomas is some sort of insurrectionist. I didn't have time to do the what's the hell's going on here? Oh no. That was weird. I just disappeared for a second. That was crazy. I didn't even mean to do that. I don't know what I did. I was just trying to fix the saturation rate on this stupid thing because it's let's try this. There we go. I just realized how fuzzy it looked on the screen. So anyway, people are going crazy because they think Ginny Thomas is an insurrectionist. who knows how that's going to go. It's going to piss people off greatly if it's a 6-3 decision that they're going to stay, or they're going to uphold the judge's stay on the Justice Department going through those documents before the special master can. So anyway, moving on, the ghouls descend on Florida only to be disappointed. Democratic operatives disguised as journalists blame Ron DeSantis for a hurricane. Have you noticed that? It's a great article in the Spectator. And we saw some of that with the questioning of DeSantis versus the questioning of Rick Scott. DeSantis, with the mind like a trap, handled the reporters very well. Hurricane Ian was an especially challenging natural phenomenon for hydrological, meteorological, and geographical regions. It was a Category 4, almost Category 5 hurricane that meant wherever it came ashore, it was going to wreck things. It carried storm surge of more than 12 feet when it made landfall, enough to inundate practically all of Lee County, Florida, where the eye wall met the continental United States. And it wasn't supposed to target Lee County, which centers around mid-sized coastal cities of Cape Coral and Fort Myers. It was supposed to dive into the west coast of Florida, to the north, originally in and around the Tampa area, and then to the south towards Sarasota. But Ian duck hooked into Lee County, absolutely trashed the place, doing billions of dollars of property damage in the beachfront county of 760,000 people, killing at least, I think they're up to 70 people now. Lots of them didn't evacuate because people don't like to evacuate their homes when a hurricane comes. Evacuation means you're a refugee, and it means all too often that you end up in a strange place with barely any possessions. Riding out the storm is usually preferable no matter what the local officials say. And even in the case of Hurricane Ian, with its 155-mile-an-hour winds, riding out the storm is generally not fatal, but sometimes it is. For over 100 people it was. And to the media ghouls who have descended on Florida with the aftermath of Ian, TV cameras and stupid questions in tow, those 101 fatalities are golden. Why? Because with 101 corpses to feast upon, the local officials in Lee County who didn't sufficiently browbeat the beachfront residents in barrier island communities like Sanibel, Captiva, and Fort Myers Beach are now dessert for what Rush Limbaugh used to call the drive-by media. And by extension, those local officials have become proxies for Florida Governor DeSantis. Dana Bash, we saw her interview with Rick Scott. We saw this lady's interview with DeSantis. Now it's funny because now PolitiFact has gotten into the. I'm not going to read the article, but PolitiFact has gotten into the fray a little bit because in that clip where DeSantis was talking about how Lee County was not in the cone of path that they were expecting. That's why all their resources and expectations were up in the Tampa area, including all the media was in the Tampa area so they could take their, guy in a raincoat out in the high winds shots, right? Well, PolitiFact put out a tweet or one of those fact-checking things where they said, well, DeSantis' statement that Lee County wasn't in the cone 48 hours before the storm was mostly false because, wait till you get this, there's a part of Lee County that's kind of an island that sticks out into the sea that you can get to by ferry, right? And so you get, and I think it's officially a state park. Nobody lives there, but it's a state park and it juts out. And that part of Lee County was just on the tip of the cone, right? So PolitiFact said that Lee County was in the cone, therefore his statement was mostly false. It's about 0.5% of the land area of Lee County, and it's uninhabited. Just barely touched the cone. And so PolitiFact put out an entire fact check saying that DeSantis, his statement was mostly false. Ah, yes. Fact checkers are your friends. Yes, they are. Oh, my goodness. Thank God for fact checkers. All right. Since I'm out of time, we'll just give you a couple of headlines here. Fed economists say inflation is eroding most Americans' wage gains. In the Washington Free Beacon. In the immortal words of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, as he ascertained some of the strategic plans prior to entering World War II. Duh! What do you... Yeah, it is. It's eroding wage gains, all right. Anyway, also from the illegal insurrection, give me back my city. Parents of murdered New York City paramedic confront Mayor Eric Adams. They are not happy. The parents of a murdered EMT in the fire department, Lieutenant Allison Russo Elling, confronted New York City Mayor Eric Adams at her wake over violence engulfing the city. Russo Elling was stabbed to death in broad daylight in Queens while buying food. Authorities charged Peter Zizopoulos, 34, with murder and weapon possession. Suffolk County legislator Leslie Kennedy saw Frank and Catherine Fioco's interaction with the mayor. She described it as courteous. An EMS worker said the parents didn't hold back. Their comments included anger and jokes, but they definitely let him have it. Weren't you a police officer for 30 years? They asked Adams. When Adams replied, yes, Catherine said, you know what to do. Please give me back my city. The mom said, according to Kenny. It was courteous. They were saying what they were saying. Make my city better. Make my city better. Adams stood there. His face was flat. At the end, he said some brief statements that were comforting and accepting of what was said to him. So they kind of gave him the business at their daughter's funeral. If you want to, you can check that out. It'll be in the tabs. RNC says Google spiked over 22 million of its emails in September alone. This is election interference. It's not really a secret anymore that the left doesn't believe in a level playing field, and the woke vanguard is censorious, fascist, and unwilling to allow the fair and open enunciation of opposing points of view. That's why so many conservatives, including Donald Trump himself, have been banned from Twitter and Facebook, and that's why Parler, Getter, Gab, and Truth Social exist at all, to give a voice to those who have been denied a platform for having views that don't correspond to those of the political and media elites. But the censorship is even far more reaching than that. On Monday, Fox News reported that the Republican National Committee says Google is suppressing get out the vote and fundraising emails by sending millions of GOP election emails to users' Gmail spam folders. With party leadership threatening to explore legal options to put an end to what they call as a pattern of bias, Google biased against conservatives. Why? The only people who could have possibly been shocked by this are working for Mitt Romney and Adam Kinzinger. So anyway, that's the accusation. They go into a little more detail. I think a lot of political ads go into spam folders, but if they can prove that theirs are more likely to than any DNC emails, they might have a case. Who knows? Let's see. I don't know what this is about. New York Times identifies the mysterious Perla. All the media Martha Vineyard's lies unravel. This is about DeSantis sending the illegal aliens to Martha's Vineyard, and they called all the leftists calling the flight evil, inhumane, disgusting, and cruel, and demanded that DeSantis answers for the blonde woman called Perla, whom migrants in San Antonio, Texas, reportedly claimed had tricked them into taking the trip north. Immigration lawyers who jumped at the opportunity to represent the migrants called the flight an act of kidnapping to an undisclosed destination orchestrated by DeSantis. NPR reported the migrants were lured into boarding a plane because Perla told them they were going to go to Boston, where expedited work papers were waiting for them. According to the Washington Post, Perla, decked out in a cowboy hat and riding around in a red and white SUV, coerced migrants into making the journey with the promise of food, jobs, and transportation. Well, apparently they have found out who this mystery Perla is. And let's see. Well, I'm going to let you read it and find out. I This one I didn't read beforehand. I just found this at the last minute. But apparently, the Perla is not some nefarious person that they think she is. You should just check it out. Just trust me. Oh, did you hear about this kid? I'm gonna leave the other ones alone, but this is the last one I'm gonna to inform you about. So apparently, there's a gun buyback in New York City, or state of New York, right? Well, apparently, some punk kid plays the Attorney General to the tune of $21,000 in the gun buyback, and then mocked her office. New York Attorney General Letitia James' taxpayer-funded so-called gun buyback event last month was made a mockery of when a self-described punk kid earned $21,000 for printed off gun parts. The man, who wishes only to be identified as Kem, has boasted using his $200 3D printer to make dozens of lower receivers and frames so he could cash in on James' buyback, eventually landing him 42 $500 gift cards from the Democrat, or rather the New York taxpayers. And it ended with the guy and the lady from the budget office finally coming around with the 42 gift cards and counting them out in front of me. Cam recalled to News Channel 2 $21,000 in $500 gift cards. The man said he printed off enough parts for 110 firearms, then drove 6 hours to Utica to participate in the program, which Cam has ridiculed as not effective. He sees the tote and says, "How many firearms do you have?" And I said, 110, the man explained. After back and forth with the AG's office, Cam received the $21K. Getting guns off the streets and out of our communities is one of the many ways my office is working to protect New York families and combat rising crime rates. James bragged about the gun buyback. By working closely with our partners at Camillus Police Department, we were able to organize this successful event and remove 172 guns from the local community. Ha! 110 were printed by Kem. And he ruthlessly mocked the braggadocious AG. Yeah, I'm sure handing over $21,000 in gift cards to some punk kid after getting a bunch of plastic junk was a rousing success, he told Channel 2. Okay, is anybody else but me love this kid? I think he needs a round of applause. Anyway, guys, this is the end of the show. I gotta go because I'm way over. And but there's a lot more articles that you can find in the links, which you can see at the end, or I'll update during the outro. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Please, before you do anything, hit the like button. I see the number going down, but not the like button going up. If you haven't done it yet, do so. And I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern. Please, like button, share the stream before, during, and after. Put a comment in the comment section if you're watching on replay. And PDogNight.live, 24 hours a day, is a place you can sponsor the show and get your messages read every time you put one in. Anyway, gotta go. Thanks, everybody. My name is PDogNight. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDogNight, and thank you for watching today on the PDogNight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDogNight, and I'm out of here.